what technology is wonderful when it works.
Oh, I know, I know. Always the way when you need it to, it won't.
Yeah. Right, evening, guys, or also it's evening for us, whatever time of day it is for you. Hello. And yeah, another Q&A session, and yeah, just a short one today because I know you've been busy this week. You've been backwards and forwards with your other half to the hospital,
Yeah, very
but
fun week we've had, but it's all good. We're all okay. We're here. We
we're
made it.
here.
That's the main thing.
And actually, he's had, well, fairly. It seems to be fairly positive at the moment with him.
Yes. Yeah, we're all good. Hopefully he'll be home next Wednesday.
Next Wednesday.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. Yeah. Well, like you say, you're on your own at the moment because you've not got Lando there either.
No, no dog, no
No
human.
dog, no
Just me and the
human.
hedgehogs actually in here. That's it.
Oh, you've
It's
at least got some company with the
oh
hedgehog.
yeah.
As fun as they are.
Bless them. Yeah, they're here. Uh,
Cool.
one of them's up this evening. So yeah, Diggles has joined us for the Q&A.
Oh, brilliant. Right, we've got a couple of a couple of questions. So it should be a shortish one because I know that after your week you'll be dying to get into bed probably.
Yeah, sleep has not been a problem this week once we've
No.
got into bed. It's just when we get to bed.
When you get to bed, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Well, I'll kick off then. And this one's from Gemma, who's one of the Shaping Up girls. Any suggestions on how to get people around you to be understanding about the changes you are making and be supportive, like not suggesting going out to eat 2 to 3 times in a week? Question mark, exclamation mark. Yeah, we were just saying before we came on, it's really, if you're on a health journey, whether it's fat loss or just trying to eat healthily, it's really easy
Yeah,
when you've got people around you doing the same thing.
yeah,
And
absolutely.
I know with you and Tom, you're, well, when he's not in the hospital,
When he's here,
when
yeah, we were just saying like we're cooking together. If we're trying to, look at dropping a little bit of body fat and reduce that weight a little bit, we're doing it at the same time. We wouldn't try and have him trying to gain muscle and me trying to lose fat because I'm going to get he wouldn't get upset. I would get very upset
yeah,
if that was the
yeah,
situation. Whereas by doing it together, like for him, he said it's been really good having me because I force him to eat vegetables, which isn't normally how he would do anything. Whereas for me, it's good to have someone that's there alongside me to be like, come on now, like we can make this together or let's do that. And it just keeps you going. Whereas when you're surrounded by people or like whether that's friends, family, or whatever that don't understand, and like, oh, why are you doing that? Or oh, well, you're so, when they use the words of like, oh, but you're so good, you can treat yourself, enjoy it. And it's like, yeah, but you don't understand, it's like you say, it's that consistency.
yeah,
And sometimes I think we've said it before, it can be like a reflection of them.
yeah,
They can start looking at you and be thinking, oh my gosh, like look at everything you've done. And they can start to sometimes like feel a little bit bad, like maybe I should be doing more, but oh well no, just
yeah,
can't eat with us. It's and it can make it more difficult. But I think it's just being firm and get them to understand or to offer other solutions like, okay, well, why don't we go for a walk together, or let's go, there's that new film out of the cinema, because even just going to the cinema, you can manage that a lot easier than like say like a meal out or anything, and look at other ways around it.
yeah,
um it doesn't always have to be a meal out. There's other ways to socialize, and I think it's just exploring what other ways might work for you so
yeah,
that you can still see them, not lose that as in terms of social aspect, because it's so important. And that's not to say never go out and join them for a meal, like, because that's absolutely not the solution. Like you say, life will happen,
yeah,
birthdays, weddings, christenings, all of that will. Um, but like you say, it's that 2 to 3 times a week, you're going to suddenly start to feel, oh gosh, I can't meet my
yeah.
goals. And yeah, it's looking at other ways that you can socialize with them and helping them to understand like your reasons behind what you're doing. And sometimes I don't think people always realize that them suggesting that all the time is impacting you in a negative way. So I think sometimes it's just having that conversation.
It's yeah, and I think you're right there. There's other things as well when you start making changes for your health and people notice. I know that you said it's self-reflect, they do self-reflect, and sometimes
Mhm.
they don't like having that mirror turned back on them.
Yeah.
And it's a lot easier for somebody in that situation where they've got the mirror on them to kind of deflect back onto you.
Yeah.
maybe try and sabotage. I know I spoke to one of my in-person clients this week she's got the situation at the moment where the people she's living with, they're actually, it sounds like they are almost trying to sabotage her progress. And I said, you've got to kind of focus on yourself. Don't think it's a reflection on them. It's not that they're trying to do anything, derail you. It is, well, they probably are, but it's a reflection on them, not on you.
Yeah.
You have to kind of do your own thing. And and in her situation, I'm not saying that this applies to everybody, but in her situation, I said, look, yes, at the moment they're cooking, they might be cooking for everybody and they're not making meals that are conducive to your goals. I said, do you enjoy cooking? And she does. So I've said, just you do your own meals and just say, look,
Yeah.
I'll look after myself. You do what you want to do.
Yeah.
And in this situation, there are times where they're actually buying in foods that are her trigger foods. And I said, you've just got to focus on what you're doing and ignore what they're doing. And gradually, people get the message. They do. If you are being invited out for meals all the time, it may well be that you just got to, like say, be firm and just say, actually, I don't want to eat out. I want to do this because, and it doesn't necessarily have to be for fat loss. It could just be, look, I want to do this because I'm doing it for my health, or I'm doing it because I prefer to do this, or I'm doing it because I want to save money, and actually eating out is expensive. It's not cheap, it's
Yeah,
expensive,
it is. Yeah.
and or having takeaways is expensive. And when people start to look at it and go, well, actually, I'm saving money by cooking at home, or I'm getting healthier. They start to see the benefits as well, and I think they gradually start coming round. And I've said before, I think on these, in that what you find is people around you. There are 4 stages. The first stage is that they'll start to sabotage you, and whether it's intentional or whether it's subconscious, because they don't like having that mirror turned on them, they will try and sabotage your progress. Then you get the next stage where they go, oh, I wish I could be good like you.
Yeah.
And once they've started on that journey, it gets easier for you because it's, they're not trying to sabotage you. It's like, oh, I wish I could do what you're doing.
Yeah.
Then they'll ask you how you're doing it and what you're doing. And then the next stage, the last one is, could you help me? And you get those 4. If you stick with it long enough, you end up with the people around you going, oh, how have you done it? I'm
Yeah.
going to try that. And then they'll ask you for tips. I got it when I first started on my fat loss journey, and people they were like, oh, you're being boring. Just have a drink or just have this piece of cake. And I'm going, no, I'm all right.
Yeah. I don't
I'm
want
fine.
to.
Yeah. And I think if you've been doing it long enough, and I know Gemma has, you're in a better position to be stronger. It is tough. I'm not saying it's not tough. It is tough when people are suggesting to eat out all the time, but you're in a stronger position to say, actually, I like the progress I've made. I like how I feel. No, I'm all right. And just be firm and say no. And gradually they do come round to that, and it'd be like, oh God, I wish I had your willpower. And it's not willpower. It's just, no, I've got into a routine. I've worked out what works for me. And then they'll say, well, how do you do it? What are you doing? And then, can you help me?
Yeah.
But I mean, ultimately as well, it's like, if you do end up eating, in transparency now, I quite often eat out twice a week. We eat out most Sundays when we've got the kids, rather than spending time making a Sunday dinner, which I do enjoy, but it's time consuming, and I'd rather spend my time with my boys.
Yeah.
So we'll go out for Sunday dinner, and I know I'm going to do that every week, so I build that in. And then every other weekend when we haven't got the boys, we'll go out for a Saturday night because it's date night. So we'll have 2 meals that weekend. But what I do is I will make one of those meals the meal that I'm going to enjoy, and the other meal. So last weekend, for example, Saturday night we went up to our local, and I had I had a meal I enjoyed. I had something that I wouldn't normally have. I had a burger and some fries. Great, loved it.
Yeah.
Had a pint with it, really enjoyed it. we went out for our dinner as we normally do on a Sunday, and I had a chicken and bacon salad.
Yeah.
Which I really enjoyed because it was dead tasty. They've got like a nice light dressing on there. And I just had a chicken and bacon salad and a pint of Pepsi Max.
Yeah.
And it's that sort of thing. So if you are eating out and you can't avoid eating out, you can make it work by just maybe planning ahead, looking at the menu
Yeah.
and thinking, because there are going to be times where you have weeks where, like birthday weeks, which seems to be a thing now. It's not just one day, it's a birthday week. And it could be that you have 3 meals out and you go, well,
Yeah.
do you know what? That's the meal I'm going to enjoy. And then these two, I'm going to pick these options from the menu which are fitting in with what I normally eat. I mean, the big challenge is not letting it disrupt your routine.
Yeah.
That's the big challenge,
Absolutely.
because some of the strategies we suggest, like maybe dialing back on your lunch or your breakfast, that requires quite a bit of planning. And if you're having to do that 2 or 3 days a week, it's a little bit difficult. So it's kind of just having a routine that you can work around with that. But I guess, as we've both said, the first thing is be firm,
Yeah.
hold your own kind of, hold your ground on it. You're doing this for a reason. Remind yourself of that. And then gradually they'll start to understand. But there are loads of other ways. You can sort of say, look, we can save money by cooking at home, or yes, we can go out, but why don't we do this instead? Like you said, go and watch a film or something like that.
Yeah.
And gradually you will start turning people around, I guess.
Yeah. I'd say so. Yeah. Not always, but most of the time.
Yeah, and actually, I mean, I know it's different. She's probably suggesting that this is her other half, but if you're with people, I think if you're in a situation where you've got friends who are not coming around to your point of view, even after sort of 3, 4, 5 months,
Yeah.
it's hard sometimes. But actually, these people might be people that you don't necessarily need to be spending huge amounts of time with.
Yeah.
And they could be, and life changed for me. The friends I spent a lot of time with when I was bigger are not necessarily people I spend a lot of time with. Now now I've got a healthier lifestyle, and the friends that do are still socialize with and I still see, they're the ones that they're good friends because they see, actually, this is what I do. And they don't ask, they don't go, oh, just have a pint, or, oh, just do this, or,
Yeah.
oh, just live a little. They're the ones that go in, no, this is what Will does. And you kind of find you find out who your good friends are in this
Yeah.
situation.
Absolutely. 100%.
And I think that's a tough part of this journey, when you start to realize that some of the people you've hung around with for years actually are part of the issue sometimes if you're trying to change your lifestyle.
Yeah.
It's a tough one, that, but sometimes we do need to change. And if we make changes to ourselves for our health and fitness, other things might change as well.
Yeah. And that's not to say that you might not meet other people on your journey that will support you more,
Yeah,
in other ways. You'll pick up newer friends. I mean, you've got it in like your other client groups. People have made like really strong friendships from there that never would have met
yeah,
otherwise. And
exactly.
are really supportive of each other. So it's not always, oh no, I'm going to lose all my friends because I'm trying to lead a healthier lifestyle. Actually, you might meet more incredible people.
Yeah, and Carrie, I've just come off a call with Carrie, and
Yeah.
she's just talked about the 5 a.m. group in the gym.
Yeah.
There's the 5 a.m. club. There's the same people there, and I'm like, yeah. And actually, you'll start to figure out, they're your kind of people, and at this
Yeah.
point, not that I'm suggesting people go to the gym at 5.
No, I'm not on board with that. But I know a few people are. That I am not one of them.
No, no. So yeah, it's you just have to stand your ground, I think, and gradually they will come round to your point of view. And if they're friends and they don't, then it is a harsh reality. But sometimes you might end up socializing less with them. Next question. So this one is something that I regularly get asked, and it's something that's cropped up a few times already this week and last week and every week. It's like, how do you overcome the all or nothing mindset? And I did a reel on it that I think it went out today, maybe might have gone out today. And it was something I heard from another nutritionist that I follow, and it's a way that I kind of So I talk about it across a week. You know, when people say, "Oh, I've had a bad Saturday meal," and we've talked about compartmentalizing the day, you know, morning, lunchtime, afternoon, evening. But if you think across a week, there are 21 meals, 3 meals a day, 7 days a week, 21 meals. If you have one or two bad meals, that's 10%.
Yeah.
It's nothing. You know, if the only time it becomes an issue, if you let those one or two bad meals turn into 6 or 7 and it's 2-3 days. This guy that I follow, Adrian Chavez, his name is, he sort of expanded it out and he said, look, you've got to think, if you eat 3 meals a day, that's 1,100 meals roughly across the year.
Yeah.
So if you have one meal a week where you overconsume or indulge a little, that's only 52 meals out of 1,100. You know, it's a fraction of a percent. Yeah. And if you look at it like that, even if you have 100 meals across the year, you're talking like 10%, less than 10% of your meals. The 90% that you do consistently is the thing that is going to determine the long-term outcomes.
Yeah.
So that if you do have that meal out, that extravagant meal out, if you do have overconsume on chocolate, you know, you decide to smash a chocolate egg that you've got left over from Easter, or if you have that piece of birthday cake, every once in a while, that's not going to make much of a difference. And I think if we remind ourselves of that all or nothing mindset around our food starts to get easier and diminish as it goes away. And it's the same with exercise. It's the same with activity. It's understanding that, you know, if you, because I know Lisa in the client group, she struggled this week. She's not done a workout. And I know how much that impacts on Lisa.
Yeah.
But as I said to her, look, it's 1 week. You know, you've been consistently doing this for the last 18 months.
Yeah.
1 week's nothing.
Yeah. And, you know, we were just saying yesterday for me was like less than ideal. You know, and it was just a case of, right, packed a few snacks because I'm never going anywhere with that snack bag, but it's not enough to sustain you.
No.
Okay, well, there's a coffee shop at the hospital. Let's see if we can get sandwich, big sugar to keep us going. Who knows how long we're going to be sat here. But then when I left to come home, I was like, right, I need something quick, easy so I can get back. But I don't just want to go through a drive-through. So I had some chicken breast in the fridge. I knew I had some noodles, so I stopped and grabbed a bag of stir-fry veg and quickly like made up a stir-fry while I came back to sort the dog out, all of those, and then could go back. So, you know, it was again not that all or nothing. It wasn't a case of, okay, today's completely ruined because of this. You know, it's getting yourself back on. And that's sort of at the moment how every day will be. It will be managing what I can and then what not, you know. And
Yeah. And
but that's taken time to learn. You know, if we go back to when I was a client and I'd sit on calls all well and be like, this has been terrible. What happened, Alice? Well, they started badly. I got up and I was really hungry and I didn't have anything in. So I had like, you know, really high sugary breakfast that didn't probably give me any nutrition. Then I smashed a whole packet of chocolate digestive biscuits. Then I just thought, oh, I'll sod it. Let's like have a takeaway for dinner or whatever. And it was that whole, oh, well, it's ruined now. And then it is a learning curve to learn, no, it's not, because one thing's happened. That doesn't mean everything else has to go wrong. And it will take time to learn that. But once you do have that as a mindset, it will change that for you, like completely.
I also think as well, when people start out, and this is one of the issues with the relationship around food. So the number of times if I get on a call with a client or I'm talking to them in the gym and I say, right, how's the eating been this week? How's your food been this week? And they go, oh, it's been shocking. It's been terrible. Really bad. And then I unpick it and I say, right, okay, so why has it been bad?
Yeah.
Let's talk about it. And then when we come down to it, they go, well, just thinking of an example this week. So this client basically said, well, it was my son's birthday and we went out for Saturday night and, you know, I said, we went to a really nice restaurant and, you know, and then she said going, but I chose the high protein thing and I made sure that there was veg with it.
Nice.
Okay, so why is that terrible? Well, it was over calories and I was over my calories for the day. All right, well, what about the, you know, the rest of the week? And then when you unpick it, what they actually start going is, well, actually, 5 days were absolutely fine.
Yeah.
Those 2 days, there was one meal on those 2 days. So you then start to dial it back and you go, well, it's actually, yeah. And it goes back to that, you've got 21 meals across the week. 2 of them, you indulged a little bit, which is fine. The other 20, the other 19 meals were on track. They were conducive to your goals.
Yeah.
So that's fine.
This is where we've said before, where the journaling can be really helpful, because we as humans are so good on just focusing on that negative, like, life's been terrible.
Yeah.
Okay, well, why? And then, like you say, you unpick it and actually it hasn't, but the bit that we're remembering from our week is that part of it that was less than ideal. Oh, well, I was meant to go to the gym on this day, but the car broke down and this happened and that happened. And it's like, okay, well, did you go your other sessions? Yes. Okay, well, that's one.
Yeah.
And the same with food. Like, we're really good at focusing on that bit that went wrong, rather than thinking, actually, I did really well to still do what I did,
Yeah.
considering the circumstance I was under.
Yeah. And I had another client this week who's not been feeling very well, and she's feeling down. It's like, how's your week been? Not great. Right. Okay. Let's talk about it. And when we unpick it, it's like, so you've been feeling ill.
Yeah.
Actually, not going to the gym was the right choice.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And you're feeling ill. So what's you, well, it's not been great. I've not had, okay, so what have you eaten? Well, I've not overconsumed, but what I have eaten, I don't think has been optimal. Okay, so I've had soup, and actually for breakfast I did have my yogurt and my fruit because I like it. And well, okay, so it's not been what you would normally do, but it's not been terrible. And it's then unpicking it and actually looking at things more, kind of taking that kind of negative set of glasses off. We've got the rose tinted glasses, now we've got these black tinted glasses. Taking those off and then looking at things more logically. And like you say, we're terrible for kind of looking at things in a really pessimistic, negative way. But if you take yourself out of that situation and then look at it from I call it a helicopter view. Imagine you're in a helicopter and take an overview of everything. It's not as bad as you first think. When you're in the middle of it, it seems terrible. But when you take yourself out of the situation and look down from above, yeah, okay, that bit wasn't ideal, but the rest of it was okay.
Yeah.
And I think we can use that strategy with all sorts of things. When you're in the middle of something and it's like, oh God, this is terrible and the world's against me, let's step back. Let's have a logical thought process about it, because we're terrible at catastrophizing. Loads of us do it, and I'm guilty of it as well. So it's just stepping back and thinking, right, really, was it that bad? Has the week been terrible? Has my nutrition been that bad? 9 times out of 10, the answer is no. And again, you mentioned journaling. We'll go on to that in a second. That is a really good way of just reflecting on the day. And thinking about, right, what have been the good things? What do I need to work on tomorrow? And that's something that can really help. And building that into your routine I do it, and it's something that really helps keep me kind of, I know when I haven't done it as well, because I start to get those sort of negative thoughts and things. But yeah, it's that all or nothing mindset is really, really common. Don't think, oh my God, I'm broken. A lot of people have it. It's almost, unfortunately, the way the fitness industry is, and you're almost told that you've got to be perfect. You've got to eat clean all the time. Certainly at the moment, there's the clean eating thing is massive, but you don't have to be perfect. Life happens.
So, it's managing what you can, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Right, last one, journaling. And really, this isn't a question. This is just something that I think we can mention, because I know I do it. And I've got a really simple way of doing it, which I'll talk about in a second. But I know you have done journaling and things in the past as well.
Yeah, I'm a bit of a weirdo that I will start writing things down and I'll be like, I'm going to be really good at this. And then 3 pages in, I start forgetting. I started trying to meditate as well, lasted 2 days. But rather than actually journaling, I have always done it, even before I started trying to journal. Especially over the past couple of years, I'd say I've done it a lot more. I just reflect on my days every day anyway. Like, even if it's just when I'm cooking dinner or doing the washing up, like in my head, I'm like going through my day. And I practice gratitude every day, like whether I'm driving to work, like, and through the day as well, especially if I feel like I'm getting overwhelmed. I'm like, right, where's the positive? Where's the good thing I can pick from this? What am I grateful for right now? And I feel like that just really helps. And I feel like I do have a much more positive mindset than I ever had, but I don't necessarily sit and write it down all the time,
Yeah.
if that makes sense. So I
Yeah.
half do it just mentally.
Yeah, and I'm the same. I've always done that sort of. I've always practiced. Certainly in the last 8 years, I've practiced gratitude in the morning. So when that came from, it's actually came from my coach who I had my weekly session with today. When I started working with him, when I started the business, one of the things that he got me to do with things like, because starting a business on your own is daunting. So he was like, right, every day I want you to think about what you're grateful for and
Yeah.
remind you why you changed your life to do this. And that's something I've practiced ever since. I always, like you, in the morning on the way into work at 5:30 in the morning, I practice the gratitude. I do think, like, what am I grateful for today? What am I going? And that positive start does set you up for a better day.
It does, yeah, absolutely.
And I like what you said as well by looking at what is the positive in this, because even with negative situations, there's a positive. Like, just,
Yeah.
with so things like, just as an example, if I'd planned a couple of weeks ago, we'd planned to well, about a month ago, we planned to do something when we got the boys, planned to go out, but the weather was awful. So what we did instead was we played board games. We had an afternoon of board games, which was great fun. And my boys were like, "Oh, I wish we could have done this." And I said, "But let's look at it this way." I said, "Have you enjoyed playing board games this evening, this afternoon?" They're like, "Yeah, I really loved it." I said, so yeah, the weather's rubbish, but if the weather wasn't bad, we wouldn't have done this." And that's the sort of thing. And I say this to one of the questions I get from my youngest. I'm no longer with his mum, and he asks me, do you? And he does it not all the time, but he has asked me a few times, do you regret?
Aw.
And he does, and I'm like, no, never. It was a situation that, with hindsight, I probably wouldn't have put myself in. But if I hadn't have done that, mate, I wouldn't have you.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, that is the way you kind of look at it. And I always do that. So even if I've got a negative situation, there's always some positive coming out of it. Yeah. If I hadn't have given up my teaching job, I wouldn't have been a PT and helped hundreds of people. So there's always there's things like that.
Yeah.
And I think having that way of looking at things, it takes practice.
Yeah,
Does take
absolutely.
practice.
Yeah, yeah.
And sometimes it's really, really difficult, but the more you do it, the easier it becomes. And what I've got a lot of clients to do now is this, what I call the 3-2-1 reflective journal at the end of the day. It's dead simple. 3 wins, 2 things you're grateful for, 1 goal that you're going to set for the next day. And that's really easy to remember, and you do it daily. I try and sort of say to them, try and do it daily. Sometimes they forget for a few days. Like, that's fine. Get back into it. It's part of your routine. It's something that you've got to try and do at the end of every single day. You can write it down, you can think about it, but I want you to do it.
Yeah.
Because when you start thinking about positives, there is a load of psychological research into this. It makes you release a load of positive hormones in the brain, things like serotonin, which is important for mood regulation and also sleep regulation. Things like oxytocin, which is they call it the cuddle chemical,
Yeah.
and all of these things, they make you feel better. Dopamine. When you have that kind of those chemicals going around, it makes it very difficult to feel negative, and it helps you improve your mood. And when you've got those chemicals going around, it helps your thought processes as well. You're more able to think logically and rationally, as opposed to having those irrational thoughts. So just trying to do something like that at the end of every day. 3-2-1, 3 wins, 2 bits of gratitude, and then one goal for the next day. And I do it every day. This is how I do it as well. And it really, really does help,
And like I
because
say, it's so quick, like that takes 5 minutes. And like I say, if you don't want to write it down, you can do that in your head so easily, of just taking that 5 minutes just to think about that. And like I say, it will definitely make a difference. You
yeah,
will
it
start to
does.
notice a difference in your
And I
mood.
think if you can write it down, because writing it down means you can then go back and
Look back
reflect
at it.
on those as well.
Yeah.
Because on the days where, and it's some days it is harder than others. Some
Yeah.
days it's hard to find those wins. But then if you look back and you go, do you know what? I managed to get up. I managed to brush my teeth. I've managed to have my breakfast. Those are 3 wins,
Yeah.
and sometimes I was talking to Laura, who is one of the clients of mine that
Yeah.
I was talking to her about kind of doing this for self-care and just little things like putting makeup on or doing your skincare routine. Those are things that we take for granted, but actually
Yeah.
doing those little things at the end of every day or at the beginning of every day make you feel better. Yeah. And once you start getting that sort of thought process, feeling better, things start happening.
Yeah. 100%. It definitely makes a difference. Yeah.
Yeah. And I know for you at the moment, with everything that's going on with Tom, practicing gratitude and thinking of
Yeah, I was just thinking, what are my wins for the day? I moved
something.
some lovely customers into their new home
Yeah.
who were the first time I've met them because I've taken over a new site. Lovely. I washed my hair. That's another win, is that I washed my hair this morning.
Yeah.
And I managed to have salad for lunch rather than
Yeah.
just nipping down to the shop. So they're my 3 wins. And like I say, they can be something really simple. Other days that'll be, I mean, a couple of days ago, it would be that I ran 3K, which is the furthest I've run since breaking my ankle. Like,
Yeah.
that's a much bigger win. But actually, every day will look different. And sometimes they will be bigger wins than others. But
Yeah.
there's always something that's a win for the day, always.
Yeah, and with gratitude, some days it could be the same thing. You could just be
Yeah.
grateful that, yeah, I've got a roof over my head and I've got a job. Yeah, and
Yeah.
it could be that's what you're grateful for. Other days you might be grateful for, oh, I had this experience.
Yeah.
And it does it. Yeah, the more you do it, the more you start to see what you've got around you. And then once you see that and you're in that positive mindset, it does make a massive difference.
It does. The other one, I've seen it around everywhere where, where people, what do they call it? Where people look out for like the bad things that happen in the day, or like you get focused on the negatives. Whereas if you start looking out for like the good things in the day, I think they call them like little glimmers through the day. They're like the most random ones. Like when I take Lando for a walk, I'll be like, oh look, like recently, oh, the bluebells have come out. How pretty is that to be able to see on a walk? If I didn't get up and come out, I wouldn't have seen that today.
Yeah,
Or, oh my gosh, look at those really pretty flowers, look at that. Or, you start to notice things more and be like, if I wasn't here in this moment, I would have missed that.
yeah,
To start to look for those great things just all around you, like every day. And yeah, it will definitely, it just helps boost your mood because you're looking out for positive things rather than getting
absolutely.
down in the
And
negative.
the more you start doing it, the more you, like you say, you start looking for those positive things,
Yeah.
and that then sets you up better for the day.
Yeah.
You kind of get into a mindset where when you feel down, you start looking for the negatives, and
Yeah.
that just makes you feel worse. So that's when, and when our mood drops, that's when our body starts to look for that dopamine fix, and that's when we
Okay.
start doing things like with food, yeah, or with negative habits, and then that's where the negative habits come back in. So we need to try and reinforce the dopamine by feeling positive, by thinking positive thoughts, and that will help. And it really does. And it's not just for nutrition and diet, but everything around you, your whole lifestyle. If you
Yeah.
start thinking more positively, you'll start making more positive choices, which are going to pay off massively in the
100%.
future in the
Yeah.
long run.
Yeah. They absolutely will.
And I think that's a great note to end on.
I think so too.
A really good one, that. Cool. So I will let you go and get some rest because you
Dinner
sound
in bed.
like you need it.
Dinner in bed. Yeah. Can
Yeah.
you tell I've not had much sleep?
No, same. I've had a busy week. It's been a good week, but a very busy week. So I'm going to have dinner and go to bed as well.
Amazing.
All right. On that note, we will end and we will catch you next week. Normal time, is it next week?
Yes,
Yes, normal time next week.
it will be. Yeah, hopefully.
All right, then, guys, have a great weekend and a great week ahead, and we will see you soon. Bye for now.
Bye.